What's up? Brian from the channel Brian here, this time talking about Licorice Pizza, the long-anticipated new film by Paul Thomas Anderson. Anderson is a bona fide legend in modern film culture, entering his fourth calendar decade of making movies for film buffs to endlessly guzzle down until they burst with endless praises like the Yoshi's Island commercial. Except that is not what's happening this time. Licorice Pizza is splitting whatever percentage of audiences are patient enough to digest it. After all, the central relationship is between a 25-year-old and a 15-year-old. The usual people have crawled out of their foxholes to dispense trite talking points and discourse. It's all very muddled, but what is the heart of the issue? This all reminds me of people getting mad at cuties a few years ago because it demonstrates, with issues like this, how readily people will ride on confirmation bias rather than engage with the material. Now, Cuties had a thematic backbone made of gelatin, and even if you took all the messy child sexuality out of it, kinda sucked anyway. The teenage boy Gary has a crush on the middle-aged Alana, and she never shuts down his seduction attempts the way a reasonable person should. At times, the forbidden attraction seems mutual, and therein lies the problem. A 25-year-old woman should know not to entertain Gary's crush, let alone reciprocate it. The difference between Licorice Pizza and Cuties is many people are willing to give Anderson the benefit of the doubt because he's proven to be smarter than that. This is the same guy who made The Master and Phantom Thread. His movies are extremely critical of the people within them. Gary and Alana's relationship is complex and strained from an insane number of angles. It is no wonder Gary is attracted to Alana despite his age, because he is a stupid child. And I think Alana is attracted to the meanings behind Gary's seduction attempt rather than Gary himself. The way a movie like this could go wrong is improper communication of power dynamics, yet Licorice Pizza is saved by the unfolding ambiguity of where each other's interest even comes from. There is so much more at play, but like so many Anderson films, the two leads are equal parts flawed and intensely watchable characters. Well, I guess it's easier to project buzzwords onto it. Less understandable, though, is the couple scenes of overt anti-Asian racism. Anderson has really come under fire for this as well. Maybe in reality these jokes are supposed to be at the racist character's expense, but it doesn't sound to me like most audiences are taking it that way at all. I don't understand why this is here, and everybody's excuse for it sucks ass. Imagine my lack of surprise if people were just trying to rationalize ways to avoid criticizing their sacred cow Anderson. It is true to the racial attitudes of when the film takes place, but who among us is going to consider its inclusion the deciding factor for historical immersion? This is not a movie where I'm like, yeah, without the anti-Asian racism as period detail, I would not have been as connected to the era. And this story would have been a disaster. And the idea that this is people's defense sometimes is like, where are these people's priorities? This character and these scenes could have absolutely been spared, they are so inconsequential. The 70s pastiche in Licky Pizza owes a lot to waterbeds and pinball machines, those dated novelties sprouting up around us in culture. It is a nostalgic hangout movie, at times like a rebound off the fumes of Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Anderson leashes Gary and Alana along these singularly focused little bunny trails in the name of one big overall elucidation on the tension between them, rather than even the scraps of a concrete story arc. It's not Inherent Vice. I mean, oh, I don't think Anderson will ever get that fast and loose with plot ever again. But as far as hangout movies go, you really gotta hang out with it. And ultimately, what kept me engaged throughout was the acting. Not even from the big boys in this, you know, Penn and Cooper, they were goofy fun. But Alana and Gary are put to the test as the film's heart, and they pass with flying colors. Like, it is nuts these two are both newcomers with performances this good. And without them doing as well as they did, I'd have not been absorbed into their relationship, the crux of the film, either. He is the licorice, and she is the pizza. And the two don't go together. The age gap is an intentional scream in your face at the mismatch going on here. Obviously, a romantic relationship between them would be inappropriate, but this vague mutual interest they share is only romantically inclined by Gary's point of view. To help exclude that possibility, Anderson juxtaposed Alana's interest in being around Gary with examples of men she is romantically interested in. But Gary's charismatic showmanship is a tool that serves him socially as much as it does his acting career. He and Alana's paths collide, and she's surrounded with reminders that her life hasn't gone anywhere. It's a mystery what initially draws her to hang out with Gary at all, but what matters is it's not reciprocal. She just allows it to happen. Is it right? No, not really. Licky Pizza is comedically critical of Alana's decisions at every turn, even if all the mockery comes from an understanding point of view. Our instinctual need for validation is cruel, and a forbidden element to her desirability nourishes Alana's emotional satisfaction with herself, especially as she's under no obligation to entertain or fulfill the other person's desires. She allows herself to be desired for the sake of it, not with any intent to deliver on any of the promises of a relationship. Sometimes attraction isn't rooted in how much you want that relationship, you just want their interest because it serves as a reflexive indication of how desirable you are. The film makes repeated notice of Alana's appearance, but is there any substance in her attractiveness to anybody in the movie besides Gary? Because he's willing to cross this boundary that should stop him, there has to be something that'd make him go there. Or are all the characters just naive, stupid, and immature in a movie not afraid to let its characters be naive, stupid, and immature? The film's supposed to pass by without any blunt answers as to exactly what one character thinks of the other, probably because even that is undergoing constant changes. But what sucks is the ending takes a big fat dump on a lot of that ambiguity unless you start doing some real Simone Biles mental gymnastics. Licorice Pizza is unfortunately marred by the elephant in the room discussion about the character's age. Besides the aforementioned tactless racial attitudes, I have no real complaints about the conga line of quirky characters and nostalgic backdrops presenting themselves in traditional hangout movie fashion. It has youthful characters who aren't completely inane and are relatable and fun to watch. But, I mean, I'll just watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This whole movie is like when someone tells the same joke but louder, except Licky Pizza came second. The popular kid said the joke, and then the Poindexter said it quieter, and now wonders why he's not getting as much attention. You know how characters handle sex and age in that movie?
Want me to stuff your cock while driving?
How old are you?
Also, this movie was weirdly overexposed sometimes. One character's lighting a cigarette, and I couldn't tell the match she was using was even lit. That just looked bad. Anyway, I hope Alana Haim gets more roles, because her identity and appearance are, like, really important to the story in this, so it seems like the kind of role it might be hard to distance yourself from. I'm giving Licorice Pizza a 7. So anyway, did you like this movie more than me, less than me? Well, if you care to, please tell me. And if you like not only words, but the way I arrange and then say them, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to me, Brian, from the channel Brian. Thank you and goodbye.